2007. Why some people are still wondering why the people some people are still very, very vocal and assiduous in their move towards 2007 as a result of the obvious things that are happening that are not quite settled. The National Political Reform Conference, the political reform itself that may come out of it. Some people are still forging ahead. They're going ahead to make some demands, particularly the ethnic nationalities in the country. I'm talking about those that are in the South in particular. Where will the president come in 2007? And if the answers are not far-fetched, and that you can look at the North and look at the South and look at the various demands, the South People's Assembly have said it should be a Southerner, the North says it's a turn, and the Southeast says it should be an Igbo man. Well, there are those who are just preoccupied with where the president comes from. But what I'm going to be talking about this morning is where the vice president going to come from. Well, if the president comes from the North, suspected that the vice president is going to come from the South. And if the president comes from the South, it's just it's straight arithmetic that the vice president is also likely to come from the North. But when will people decide that they want to fight and call for the demand for vice president when the seat of the president hasn't even been decided? Why are they not asking for the president instead, like other clubs, groups, and bodies are doing? This is what we are going to be talking about. There's a group down here that says they want the vice president to be an Ijaw man, and it is the Ijaw Vice Presidential Project, and that project is working in the South here, and we will get to know all the details as we have. You heard from my colleague in Lagos. I have Dason, Nemieboka, who is the publicity secretary of the Ijaw Vice Presidential Project. Unfortunately, we don't have the coordinator here, but he's alone and will be telling us why the vice president for Ijaw people. Thank you very much for joining us on the program.
Thank you.
Well, I will just go straight to the question. Why vice president? Why not president?
Well, we are asking for the vice president because the Nigerian political situation is one done on party basis. And the major political parties have given indication that in 2007 particularly, they are going to choose their presidential candidates from the northern part of the country. And that leaves the South with the vice presidency.
You believe very much that the president is going to come from the North?
Well, if that's what the parties plan to do, we will not want to rock the boat. The vice presidential request is even a stopgap request. It's like a bridge you need to climb and get to where you're going to. We believe that the Ijaws actually deserve the presidency, but we are not going to fight about it. We want to do it with all the cooperation we can get, and we want to do it without rocking the boat for anybody. So if the political parties, which are the platforms, have decided that they want to take their presidential candidates from the North, we'll stand behind them, and when we want it, we expect them to stand behind us.
Now, let's even go back and take a look at Nigeria itself. We've had situations on ground where there are campaigns all over. The East says they want the president. The North says it's their turn. The South says we have never had one. We must produce the president. How does the Ijaw Vice Presidential Project fit into all these calculations?
Yes, well, I must tell you this. The word Ijaw actually means truth. And as a people, we're very sincere with ourselves and with the rest of the country. We know that it takes political strength, which is numbers, to produce the presidency. It doesn't take shouting. And then we know that you have to do it on a political platform. And if the political parties, which are the platforms, we do not have a provision for independent candidates now. If the political parties, which are the platforms, say they are going to give their presidency in 2007 to the North, the South has just done, or by 2007 the South will be doing a second term. We'll be concluding a second term. You know, and if we're asking for an Ijaw president in 2007 or a South-South president in 2007, it's probably going to seek a second term too. And if that happens, we're going to be running 16 years. And I don't think our northern brothers will be comfortable with that. But this ding-dong thing, I think it's good for the Nigerian political stability. And so if it's going to be ding-dong between the north and the south, then the Ijaws are saying, well, if the presidency is going back to the north, let's have at least the vice presidency. But I tell you, the Ijaw man deserves to be president of Nigeria, and he will be soon.
Now, the National Political Reform Conference is on. Yes. And it is so-called Political Reform Conference. There have been a lot of arguments. There should be a single term for a president. I read the papers yesterday. Some people say it should be 6 years. One single term for a president, 6 years. Some say it should be 5 years. There's a lot has been said about what should be the picture of politics after the Political Reform Conference and then towards 2007. A whole lot of ideas. Yes. But you are here. You are looking at 2007 and you're looking for a vice president. Even people are talking about parliamentary system. Nobody has even been able to say this is. You cannot really sit down here and possibly say this is what is going on. Why are you so convinced that there will be a vice president in 2007?
Well, I'll tell you. First, I do not expect, and I know the national conference, the ongoing national political reforms conference, does not have the capacity to extend the tenure of this administration. Therefore, there will be a 2007. That I am definite about. If there will be a 2007, there will be an election in 2007.
Will it be parliamentary? Will it be presidential?
Well, whatever it's going to be, we do not expect a radical change because, I mean, if you look at the configuration of the ongoing conference, the people in the conference, I mean, you will be certain that that's why there are others calling for a parallel conference. Because you'll be certain that nothing fresh except probably some minor suggestions will come out of it. We do not see it rocking the boat for the political system in Nigeria. I do not see Obasanjo endorsing a parliamentary system. He doesn't look like one who will do that. And if he's not going to endorse a parliamentary system, then the presidential system will stay. For me, as a person, I don't believe that there's a problem with the presidential system. What we have problems with are the actors, the players.
Yes. Now, I'll take you to the south, where you are actually talking. The south, without maybe being so, I stand to be corrected that the Ijaws probably have the largest population within the South area. I mean, they are the fourth largest ethnic group in Nigeria by some population census we've done in the past. And recently, the South People's Assembly came together and they have met. The last meeting was in Bayelsa, in Nemieboka, and prominent Ijaws sons and daughters were present. And they have made it very, very clear to other Nigerians that they want the president. But here you are talking about an Ijaw man becoming the vice president. Is there no contradiction here among the Ijaws?
Well, for those who know, they know that there is no contradiction. What has been happening in the South People's Assembly is what you can call political drama. It's a jamboree meant to achieve what we're asking for straight. It's a funny political trick that has been adopted severally by several groups, by several people. You want A and you're asking for B, so you'll be encouraged to get A later. But we're saying we're not interested in the games. We're looking at what is attainable, we're looking at what is realistic, and we're asking for what we can achieve and we will achieve.
But we have, so the irony of the matter is that you have very, very prominent Ijaws, those who you cannot push aside in this club of the South People's Assembly asking for the president. So where is the strength of the Ijaw vice presidential project? Where is your base? Who are those who support you? And where are you drawing your own support from? Why are you looking straight when majority of the people, if you permit me to use that word, majority of your leaders, including the governors, are asking for government?
Well, I'll tell you straight. There are times when you are led to do certain things because you have to follow the majority. The judge at the SSPA, including the governor, does not believe in what they were doing. Most of them were there because they needed to be there, just in case that was the platform.
Just in case the presidency works out.
Not if the presidency works out. Just in case the SSPA will be the negotiating tool. Let's not lose grip of that. However, we know in truth and indeed that the Ijaws as a people understand and know that the vice presidency is easily attainable, and if somebody deserves 1,000 naira and you're giving him 500 naira, he's asking you to give him 500 naira. He's making the work easy for you. So the next time you're going to pay the other money, you're going to pay another 500. It's reducing the burden. And we know that the Ijaws, I mean, obviously everybody is talking about marginalization in this country now. Yes, but we know that as a people, the Ijaws are about the most marginalized in this country. We have never, the South, talking about the South now, has never produced a president, but we have managed to produce military vice presidents, if you call them that, but they are not also Ijaws. We have never produced a president, but we have had a Senate president who is not an Ijaw. We have never produced a president, but we have had deputy speakers of the House of Representatives who are not Ijaws, and yet the Ijaws are the biggest ethnicity in the region, the fourth largest in the country. I mean, that the Ijaws are marginalized is not overemphasizing.
Now, let's take a look at the Ijaws. Ijaws in Nigeria cut across the coastal region of the south, stretching across the states, not just in Bayelsa, in Rivers, in Edo, or even in Delta, as far as to Ondo. Yes. Does it matter to you where this vice president comes from? Whether it's an Ijoma from Ondo, or an Ijoma from Edo, or Ijoma from Bayelsa State? Does it really matter to your project?
Well, an Ijoma is an Ijoma. In the project, we are interested in getting the vice president, ultimately the presidency, but the vice presidency as a stopgap. In 2007, the vice presidency. And then we'll put our acts together and we'll get a president. But if it's from Ondo State, if it's from Edo State, it doesn't take away the fact that he's an Ijaw. An Ijaw man is an Ijaw man. He has as much rights, as much claim to the office as the Bayelsa Ijaw, as the Rivers Ijaw, as the Delta Ijaw. An Ijaw man is an Ijaw man.
Now, many people out there who are watching you will want to know those who you are looking at. You must have, there's no doubt that you have very, very prominent, qualified individuals, educated people who can run the affairs of this country. But you must zero down and begin to look at those who you are already looking at. Who are these people you are looking at within the lenses, within your own understanding? Who are those you are looking at who could be vice president from your own point of view?
Well, that's the beauty of this campaign. The presidency is about election. The vice presidency is about selection. The presidential candidate will be will be guided to picking his running mate. And if a presidential candidate is going to pick his running mate, the IVPP and indeed the entire Ijaw nation cannot impose a candidate on him. We are making a case for the Ijaw nation. Pick from us. We have credible Ijaw sons and daughters who have done internationally acclaimed achieved so much.
Are you going to line them up before these candidates?
Well, if we're asked to, we will. If we're asked to, we will. I spoke with somebody recently and I mentioned to him, I said, look, Biafra State was created so many years ago. And between then and now, they've had about 5 governors, 4 military and 1 civilian. And all 4 military were from outside Biafra State. They were non-Ijaws. And these governors came to Yenegua, a 1-lane, 1-road city, and they left it a 1-lane, 1-road city. Today you go to Yenegua, and a German is governor, and then there are many roads, there are dual carriages, and the place is a growing city. You see, River State was built, as it were, the foundational governor, the first pioneer governor was an Ijaw son, and he did what he did. We've had Ijaw sons become governors, we've had Ijaw sons doing well as ministers, we've had Ijaw sons doing well in the civil service, in the military, everywhere. We have Ijaw sons all over who have capacity. If we're asked to recommend, nominate, suggest, we may and we will. But at the moment, we're asking that the Ijaws be considered at least
as a group before they begin to look at it.
Yes.
Now, your people must also be interested in the presidency. Because if you are saying we want the vice president, then you must also be interested in who becomes the candidate, the presidential candidate, who will eventually be convinced to nominate you. So what is the vice presidential approach you're looking at? Are you looking at the southeast? Are you looking at the north? Are you looking, and even if you are looking at the north, which northeast, northwest, north central, where are you looking at?
Well, it's obvious to us that the political zoning that has been adopted by the PDP and the ANPP and other political parties is between the north and the south. And if it's northeast, north central, northwest, it's going to be sorted out by the northerners themselves. And we as a people are not very particular. As an individual, I may have a preference amongst those seeking to be president. But as a group, as a people, we are not very particular about who. If the vice president of Nigeria, Atiku, wants to be president and he believes that the Ijaws in all the 6 Ijaw states, he needs our vote, then he should consider running with an Ijaw man. If Ibrahim Babangida wants to be president, he should consider running with an Ijaw man. If Maria wants to be president, he should get a running mate from the bowels of the Niger Delta, the Ijaws. And when that happens, whoever picks an Ijaw running mate will get the support of the Ijaws.
So for that, you're leaving the doors and the windows open for the Ijaws to look at what they play in the north to see where it goes. But do you, as of now, have preferences? So one who is sympathetic is Babangida, for instance. Babangida himself hasn't said, I am going to run. We have feelers of people saying they are campaigning for him. The same thing with Buba Marwa, we have people campaigning for him. Even Muhammadu Buhari, people still say, look, he should run. But do you have amongst them one who is sympathetic towards the Ijaws that you also want to say, encourage to go, say, tell him, go into the race because we know that you can pick one of us and we'll give you support. Do you have any of them sympathetic towards it?
Well, I'll tell you this, like you said, the man Babangida has not publicly told anybody he's running. And only those working for him, and for those working for him, we've spoken to them at different levels. Many of them speak with us on individual basis and all that. And they give us an impression that the man is sympathetic to the cause of the Ijaws and indeed the Niger Delta. I'll tell you, I've spoken with Buba Marwa and he has given
directly.
I've spoken with him directly, yes, personally, and he has given an indication that he understands the pains of the Niger Deltans.
Are you telling you we wrong?
Well,
we run for president?
If you want me to say he said, I will run, he didn't say, I will run.
Did he give any indication that he's going to run?
Well, I think it's all over the place. Everybody believes he's running.
And now, we have to take a look at the reasons why you want the Joe person to be the vice president. What is in the vice presidency that the Joe person really would think would be it, that it is a platform on which you can stand and solve problems? What is in the vice presidency?
Well, you see, I've mentioned that it's a stopgap thing. The Jaws deserve the number one position. However, in the present dispensation, we don't want to appear unrealistic. And so we're saying, give us the office of the vice president. And then we will use that as a platform. We'll use that as a base to check ourselves. I mean, my national coordinator spoke with the media, granted an interview, and he said the Jaws will lead Nigeria to the promised land. So if you have the promised land is also if you generate as much resources as we do, then you should know how to utilize resources. What I'm saying is, he said that the Jaws would like to do it the way that Nigerians will forever appreciate it, the Jaws. So we're saying in 2007, let's get close to the seat of power. Let's be there. Let's observe who's going to be there, and let's see his mistakes, so that when an German becomes president, we will give Nigerians the leadership that will be the Jaws will be remembered for.
Now, just before we begin to round up, are you not? It's related to one of the questions I've asked before about the contradiction. Some of the Jaws in the South People's Assembly say, look, we want the president. They are teaming up with the Edos, with the Dasons, with the Shakiris, with all the other tribes within this area, nations, nationalities within the area, to say, look, we want the president. And you are saying you want the vice president. Are you not rocking the boat for all the other ethnic nationalities within the South that have all teamed up together? Are you not really drawing them backwards? Because I said they want the president and they are singing it loud and clear.
Who is going to be president in the South?
I think, like I said, you don't have candidates.
I'm not saying we don't have candidates. I know that it's a trick. It's an external influence aimed at dividing the South, aimed at confusing the South, so that we lose it. It's been used against the Igbos in the Southeast.
The major actors in this South People's Assembly are South-Southerners.
They are South-Southerners, but many times you see somebody dancing and you don't know who's beating the drums. I can tell you that the concept is from external sources. The concept is alien.
Have you been able to trace it?
Well,
where it's coming from? From the north?
Well, we will leave that for... Yes. I tell you, the concept is alien. It's a suggestion by some people in the villa to certain elements in the South. See, we would like to have you as a vice president. However, go ask for the top job. Put your people together. We'll use that as a bait, as a negotiating tool, and we'll
get the perception you have, or it's the fact that you have.
Well, I don't think we'll go into very empirical details now, but we know what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Yes, that's the game. You see, go ask for the top job and put your people together. With time, we'll use that as a negotiating tool, and we'll get you to run with our preferred candidates.
And will be a vice president. If that person, couldn't that person be an job person? Couldn't you use this same platform to get a job to become vice president?
Well, initially you mentioned that Ijaz are part of that arrangement.
Yes.
And I said yes, just in case that works.
So you are not leaving. You don't have to leave on this stone.
No, we're not leaving that stone unturned.
So that is why the Ijaz will still necessarily they still need to remain within the South People's Assembly, and also go on with this. This project. But how much of the jobs are being carried along with this year? How much of the population, of the leadership, those who are, how much of it do you really have in this? Who think along with you along this line? Is it just a project of 3-4 people and you have opportunity of a media?
I'll tell you, every true Ijaw man is with this project. He knows that it's a sincere thing. He knows that it's beneficial. He knows that it's just, and every Ijaw man is here. Even the leaders you see on TV in the South People's Assembly, they're here. They believe in the cause. And we're talking, we're consulting.
So the question is now, they have to play double sometimes. Stay here and stay here. Is that part of the political thing that we are?
Well, that's part of the politics in this country.
Well, I do wish you the best in your campaigns, and hope that the entire project itself will not be rocked by the events in Abuja, by the conference that is going on, and that when the constitution comes, there will be a provision for the vice president that you want, and that the judges, all of them, will actually also come together. If they can get the president from the backyard of the South People's Assembly as it is, and the Joma can be president, I wish you all the best, and I wish you well in your campaigns.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for coming on the program.
Thank you.
And I'll be speaking with the man who is the publicity secretary of the Ijaw Vice Presidential Project, Dason Nemieboka. Nemieboka is working along with his colleagues in this project to drum up support for the emergence of a vice president of an Ijaw extraction in 2007. Well, that is the most we can take from here. Okiria Agbensuremi is my name. The discussions on Kakaki continues, and I shall take you back to our Lagos studios for the continuation of the program. Thanks for remaining with us, and continue to stay with us.